Welcome to the Stars in the Making with the mission to inspire and frame the future. The star is Kylin, 21 years old, co-founder of the world first AI knee protection. From an Asian family, strict upbringing, discipline, awards in piano and math, coding talent. Injury ended my basketball dream. I pivoted and moved forward, choosing my own path despite family disapproval, going global, empowering every athlete to play fearlessly. And this is my story. It's the Stars in the Making. This episode is sponsored by the scientifically revolutionized creatine, more energy for muscle and brain.
Hey guys, welcome to the Stars in the Making with the mission to inspire and frame the future. Yes, you heard a promo. That's right, the world first founder that created the knee protection powered by AI is right here in the building. All the way from London, let's welcome the star. How you doing, bro?
Great to see you, man.
Good to see you too. Welcome to the Stars in the Making.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, wow. Man, I have seen everything that you've been doing. You are all over the internet. I was like, wow, man, I was like, that's my friend right there. And I'm so proud of what you've been doing at only 21 years old. Man, this is amazing. So we're definitely gonna dive into this podcast, this episode today.
Yeah.
It will inspire many people out there, especially the younger generation. So let's dive into it. Introduce yourself, please.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Kylin. I co-founded a technology company, Hippos, that created the first ever AI-powered airbag for your knee that can designed to prevent ACL, MCL, and other knee injuries that would potentially put you on the sideline or kill your career. And it was designed to be worn by our athletes, operators, and any other people on this planet who wants to move their body in a safe way while enjoying the great happiness of the sports and other kind of activities. We don't believe there should be a sacrifice or multiple choice question between being safe and being comfortable and confident. So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, of course. Man, again, I wanted to get deep into your story so people know that this is the creator of this big thing that is happening now, that is protecting people out there, but they don't know the deep story. I love into your story. I know how you came from Asian family and how strict, the education and all that stuff. I really wanted to know a little bit more where you actually came from, your deep story into that. Dive into it, please.
Well, I mean, for most of the audience, they can see I'm a pretty tall for Asian dude, right? Like I'm 65, and which does not come from a genetic mutation. I mean, I think partially because I started play basketball and started training since I was really young, and like you said, if you're from the Asian family, what most likely going to happen is you're going to have a tiger mom with a kitty dad. So this power imbalance in my family just created this early childhood tension since I was like 3 or 4 years old. I only had 3 things in my life: basketball, piano, and math. Nothing else. Nothing interesting and where the most American teenagers enjoy.
Right.
And so since I was 6 years old, I started to play basketball, received professional trainings and all of that. And so despite all of the energy that I spent on competing on a national level for piano and even playing Olympic math, as partially Asian kid, that's really normal. And basketball is the only thing that really inspires me, that I enjoy the most.
Right.
Kyrie said something really resonates with me even now, that given the uncertainty of this world, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you don't know what's going to give you the payback or results when you put the effort. But basketball, when it comes to basketball, when you bounce the ball, it always bounces back.
Right.
Right. So that's partially why I love basketball so much. It taught me so much more than a person. And so I've had this dream since I was really young to become pro player and to create the next Lean Sanity.
Right.
And so been training really hard for that. And then 17 years old, I got a chance to come to America and to go for that dream.
Right. Before you get into that,
Yeah.
I wanted to know what is your parents wanted you to be as a kid?
I mean,
do they had something particular for you?
I think that answer will be uniform across every Asian family. Mathematicians, engineer, lawyer, or doctor. These are the only choices that they offer you.
Yeah. They weren't against, so they were against that?
They were against everything that I was wishing for, except I didn't have the choice to make that myself.
Yeah.
When I was early in my childhood, I had to follow what the society has designed for me, rather than what I actually wish for.
That's interesting. So the transition coming from going to London at 17, so how was that? So did they support that, or?
That was actually after I got this devastating knee injury. So they eventually went on board with me trying to see if I can play American college basketball. And
I love that. So we are jumping already into the deep story where I want to go. Yeah. So we do have the icebreaker question.
Yeah.
So after the icebreaker question, now we can dive into that.
Sure.
All right, here goes the question. What did you give up despite your family rejection?
I gave up everything. Like, I dropped out from college, when I was in my sophomore year, second year. And I gave up my social life to most of the extent.
When you say you give up your social life, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, every Friday, Saturday night in any college in London, you see people going out, like, right? At my age, 20, 19 years old, 21 years old, going out with a bunch of friends to clubs, to pub, to enjoy the college life, right? To enjoy time with their friends. I don't have that. Like, because of this company, because of this mission that I've given myself, I was sitting in my dorm doing LinkedIn outreach. So, I mean, that's the case every single weekend, every single vacation. It's not either doing customer outreach, getting to know the market, or developing the technology, learning how to do more advanced level programming. Like, it's all about that. Like, so I don't have, like, by traditional saying, a friend circle that I always hang out with, like when I started the company. I think that's a lot to give up.
Requires a lot.
Yeah.
Requires a lot. Focus.
Everything.
At only 21 years old. You are 21 now.
Well, yeah. I think.
And what age did you really start it?
I started my first company when I was 16 years old.
Tell us about it.
So the idea is, how do I create a tool where people like me, having some sort of like, differences with the majority of the people, how do I create a tool for me, for them, to meet like-minded people, friends, in high school, middle school, and even early. So we created the first Twitter for high school.
This is in London.
This was back in Asia.
This is what back in Asia. Okay, go ahead.
And it's essentially a specialized app designed with extra cybersecurity protocol to ensure that underage users are using it really safely, right? Yeah. So it's a social app, but with a special design for people under 18 years old. Now, it was really surprising because I didn't build that for the sake of becoming a company or whatsoever. I built that because I really suffered that problem. And then I think just when you have no expectations, things become more than what you expect to be. We've got 5,000 active users. We launched into the App Store when I was 17 years old, and then we raised about $50,000. When I was 17, like when I wasn't even old enough to sign legal paperwork. So my mom had to come to any negotiator meeting with any developer and sign the contract on behalf of me.
Wow.
Because I wasn't old enough to sign anything.
Sure.
So it was a really wild journey. And that was the first time, I learned that, okay, I have an idea. Do I have what it takes to make it come true? I think that's a huge deal for me. It's like, it's not necessarily the success or the traction or the company. It's more about a confidence boost for me.
And now, let's dive into what you created. The knee protection powered by AI.
Yeah.
This is the big thing. That's the main reason we actually here. So how that idea came across your mind?
Yeah, so for any kid happen to be Asian practicing basketball in a camp with a bunch of black and white dudes, and it's a massive disadvantage, not because you're being Asian, but because you're not explosive enough, you're not traditionally by the sense that you're the star player, you can carry the team forward, people would trust you, or because all of these reasons, simply being Asian, minimize your chance of getting into NBA or D1, and that's just what happened.
Right.
But despite all of that, I still want to take my shot. I wasn't necessarily the best players or the star player that everyone just noticed when they see me playing. I was tall, I had always had mismatch, but I always played the right game.
You're 6'5".
I'm 6'5".
Yeah.
I'm 6'3" probably when I was in high school.
Right.
And then, but still really tall, right? So I will always have mismatch. I have handling skills, like my ball handling skills, really great. And then I know how to shoot. I don't necessarily have Steph Curry's range though. I wasn't so explosive like LeBron. But the thing about me is like I always play the right game. Like I know when to pass the ball, when to create opportunity to teammates. So most people, because of that, wouldn't give me the opportunity to say, hey, you have to go to D1, or you are the best. But one of the remote friend of my dad just, hey, why don't you just try it out? Because everyone wants to be the star player, but not a lot of people can play the right game. So that's why I came to America and tried to pursue the dream of D1. I don't know anything that could make me to become a reality, but I said I gotta try because this is something I really love.
Right.
So just 3 months before confirming a team that I will play
for D1.
For D1, and I've got no confirmation yet, but I was on track to become a player for D1, and then this knee injury happened in a random pickup game, just 3 months before the official confirmation comes in. And then it was a really stupid pickup game. Like a guy was trash talking my teammate in my random pickup game, and the way you taught the other person how to live the life, on basketball court is by dunking over the guy, right?
Yeah.
So I did that. I did dunk over the guy, but when I landed, my foot was planted on the ground, but my body was still pivoting, so you heard the snap. So that was really a turning point.
And that's when you stopped.
That's when I stopped.
You stopped.
And
basically before you even started.
Yeah,
like playing.
Yeah. So I literally have two choices, right? Option number one, I wait for 1.5 years, see if I can recover back. That's when I was almost 18 years old, and that was a really important time of my life. Can I wait 1.5 years to see how this injury turned out to be? Option number two, move on. Because I still had a lot more with myself, because unlike most other kids in my camp, I had entrepreneurship experience, like coding experience, like leadership experience, academics. I still maintain a really great academic scores and background. So am I gonna bet myself 100% on becoming an athlete? Or is there any other way that I can contribute to the society? So that choice, bothered me for a while. I didn't even know what's the right choice to move on. It took me a couple of months to decide, okay, now is the time to move on. Right. It's really painful, but I chose to move to London. Partially the reason why I moved to London was because I want to get away from here, get away from States, too much painful. Every American college would have a really great basketball team. And
right.
I would always spend my time wondering, that 10 guys on the court getting everyone's attention. Every girl is just admiring those 10 guys.
Right.
Well, I could be the guy on top of that court. I could be one of them. I could be the one maybe even making the game-winning shot, hitting the buzzer beater. But I'm not. Can I take that mentality with me? Can I stand that? I can't. So I chose to move on. Any country than this.
Right.
And then England is the first one gave me the offer, so I went there.
Yeah. And then let's dive into how do you start it? The idea of the knee protection.
Yeah, it was really a coincidence. Like I'd say, my idol, Steve Jobs said something really resonates with me. You can always connect the dots looking backward, not looking forward. At the time when I moved on, I had no idea I'm going to become a founder or tech entrepreneur whatsoever. I thought I'm going to live a stable life. LSE is a great school, right? So when you graduate, you get a consulting job or a banking job, and then you got 6-figure salaries. Go get a wife, get a daughter and a son, and my mom would like that. I didn't know
the traditional way.
The traditional way, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's like almost 90% of how Asian parents design your life, right? Go graduate from a great school, get a really great job offer from these banking or this consulting, right? And then go get your family, get your wife before 30 years old, and get a couple of kids, grandkids.
Right. And that wasn't your way of thinking.
Well, at least I don't know, right? Like I thought I'm gonna go through that process, but I just had no idea that hey, I'm gonna start a company, right?
Right.
So it wasn't until like 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, I run into a very severe car accident. Actually, when I was visiting San Francisco.
That's right. I wanted to dive deep into that. That's a very powerful story. Go ahead.
So it was a very, very dark night, late, like 10 p.m. something in Berkeley. I was driving a rental car, and then it was in the middle of the rock in the middle of the road that I couldn't see clearly, and then the car just went over it, and then the car just landed like, how Tom Cruise shooted the movie. So it was very scary. The whole car flew over it.
Wow.
I was a driver. The airbag got deployed. And, it was very scary. And then I was very fortunate that I didn't have any major injuries. But when the airbag blowed up, to most people, that was the scariest thing ever. For me, it's like, wait, that's the aha moment. If there's an airbag for the car that protected me, then why wouldn't there be an airbag for your knee? So the injury that I suffered theoretically could be prevented.
You got inspired by
a car accident.
By the car accident. That's interesting. Go ahead.
And that's just like, in 2 years before that, I had no idea that, I'm going to create a company that built technology that can be weared by people, preventing the injuries I went through. Not until that moment. That moment changed everything.
Everything.
Ever since that moment, it was still really painful to deal with all of the aftermath of a car crash, right? But it was like really, really exciting. Like, my entire personality just changed. Like, I was like, wow, this is something I want to work on. Yeah.
So what is the process for you creating the knee protection? So what is different from your knee protection? This is powered by AI from very first time ever created. And what is the difference between yours and other things that already exist out there?
What I think makes this technology so novel is primarily you can understand from two aspects, software and hardware. So before I dive into it, I'll give you a little bit brief introduction on what is going on right now with the knee protection and orthopedic market. We call them orthopedic markets, right? So you've got these couple of major players like Dunjoy, Oster, Ottobock, occupying more than 70% of the market shares across the United States. They sell this bulky, big metal brace where patients and athletes can wear on the knee. And they use this really uncomfortable hinges across different ways. They stay there forever, whether or not you need them or not. So the problem with them is they have no idea when the injury is particularly going to happen. Whereas on the other hand, players wearing all of this big and bulky devices on their knee. And what ended up to be is because the lack of alternatives in the preventative market, there's no other way you can choose. There's no other solutions you can choose. You have to wear that regardless as a psychological safety. Now, that product, that big, chunky, and what we call it junky product, then that creates side effects and create all of the other possibility that can further damage your other knee and worse, increase your tear of a second tear, increase your chance of a second tear because you're wearing something hindering your normal movement all the time. You are carrying this additional weight on the knee. So all in all, the short words are they're not being preventative enough, whereas they're not being comfortable enough at the same time. And they're still monopolizing the entire market where people have no other choice. So the problem we're really trying to solve is when exactly can we detect injuries and how do we increase the comfort and to revolutionize the entire prevention experience so people don't have to choose between safety and comfort. If we can have it both, why can't we?
Right.
People deserve to have their own choice, right, about their own healthcare. So that's the big picture of why we're doing what we're doing. Now, if you dive into specifics on the software side, how do we know when exactly an ACL tear, MCL tear, or all of these knee injuries are going to happen? When exactly do we know? That's how we built sensors inside the smart sleeve that we put on your knee. And then it was sensors all across your device. And it positions your tibia and your femur in a way that we can know exactly the micro movements happening on the knee. The reason why you tear ACL is because of your hyperextension, where you hyperextended your leg, or you rotate your leg, or there's a motion we call varus valgus, that these three motions happen on the knee, break your ligaments apart. Ooh. So the question is how do we detect these three main motions, right? That's how I use sensor to know exactly distance between the ligament, on upper side of the ligament and lower side of the ligament, from tibia to femur. It's a very complex sensor fusion system that we built on the device. And then because everyone has different knee size, knee strength, and conditions, and muscle strength, all of that. So it's meaningless if you use a universal triggering protocol, which means the AI comes in to personalize everything for you, for me, for any other player. So it trains the model to learn, okay, that's Ricardo, what's your knee profile? And what's your triggering profile? Because your knee strength, maybe your triggering profile should be a bit higher than anyone else, like me.
Right.
So that's when AI comes in. From the software side, this is how we detect injuries. And we use like 5 to 10 milliseconds to detect if an ACL could break or not. 5 to 10 milliseconds.
Oh, that's very fast.
That's very fast.
Very fast.
And that's partially why it's groundbreaking. And on the hardware side, okay, now we know there's an ACL tear going to happen. At least we predict that it's going to happen. What are we going to do something about it, right? Most wearable devices you have, rings or smartwatches, they collect data. They tell you the data, but they can't do jack shit about anything if something goes wrong, right? Right. And that's where our hardware comes in with the airbag to boom, tighten up, and give you just enough pressure on the knee. So in the next 30 milliseconds, our micro airbag will be deployed around the knee, 360 degrees, to give you just enough buffer to reverse the rotation or hyperextension, or varus valgus. So there you go, you have 50 millisecond deployment window. 5 to 10 millisecond sensor, 5 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds microcontroller making a decision, and 30 millisecond airbag.
Wow.
ACL tear takes 60 milliseconds, by the way.
All right, now we're gonna go to an interesting part, the funding part. So you got $1 million funding. I know that was really hard, and how you went about it. Explain.
I mean, for us, it's like theoretically, you see like 2 19-year-old kids dropped out of school. At the time, we haven't dropped out of school. who don't have any industry background, no flashy word on the resume, like ex-Apple, ex-NASA, whatever it is. It's literally impossible for anyone to bet on you. And we started in London, in the UK.
Especially as a startup.
Right?
Yeah.
In Europe. Now, if you're in Silicon Valley, you might be just play the card of young founder, crack founders. You can still possibly pull it out. For us, it's literally any sense, people just told us like impossible, go back to school all the time. So we're betting a really small possibility. So, which means we have to be 3x, 5x, 10x the hustle to get the things done. So I think before we got our first check, we hustled for 90 meetings or something. People either ghosted us after they had the first call with us.
You said 90?
90 meetings.
Meetings.
Investors, VCs, angels. They either said no to your face, go back to school, you're wasting your time, directly to my face, many times. Or they just ghosted us, like after the first call or something. So never worked out. I remember to the point that we only had 500 pounds in our bank account. And if we couldn't get any funding, we just had to stop operations. We can't afford the hardware experimentation anymore. We can't afford to buy parts, make things work, all of that. So, and the interesting dynamic is when you, before the 90 meetings that I had, I cared so much. I'm putting the investors on top of me. And I was approaching them from someone watching above them, right? And not necessarily the balanced power dynamics, because they know that I'm young and I know they are experienced. And so I always put them up. And I was like begging, almost like begging for money. And that power dynamics is gonna do no good for you. And I realized that, and the moment that I changed that dynamic, I stopped caring and I stopped putting themselves above me and start to realize my own value. And I think there's a saying by one of the OG investors in Silicon Valley that really makes sense. If you put someone on a pedestal, they have no choice but to look down on you. So once you put yourself out there, you respect yourself, and when you add enough value for yourself, and in the traditional sense, that you stop giving a shit about how the others reacting to you, the entire power dynamics change. No matter where you're from, how old are you, do you have enough background, do you have enough exit, where are you experienced enough in the sense of in your industry, it doesn't matter anymore. When the moment that you change the power dynamic, everything changed for me. So for me, it was the case that fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. Like I don't care anymore.
Right.
Let's see what happens. But I'm gonna try my best and see what happens. I've stopped putting other people above me. So I just did this. I sent a really successful, cool video of our technology demo, really scrappy video, simply showing the airbag inflation is fast enough to free someone else's knee. And I sent that video to random WhatsApp groups, like in London, like local like ecosystem. I was in like a random WhatsApp group, like tens or something like that.
Right.
Never used it, never, couldn't care less. But I sent our video to all of these groups. I went to sleep. I had no expectation at all. I just thought I should put myself out there. And then the other day I woke up like 9 a.m. or something. I saw like 20, 30 people reacting to a particular person that commented on one of my posts in the WhatsApp group. And then the guy commented, I would enjoy invest this.
Wow.
30 people commented. I was like, who the fuck is that? Like I had no idea. The guy doesn't have a profile picture, doesn't have a name. And I was like, so shady. Why were people reacting to that? So I DM'd her. I DM'd the guy and I said, hey dude, let's go on a call.
Yeah.
That's the first ever time I used dude. Like
right.
Before I was so polite, an Asian kid, I'm Mr. What, like,
right.
Like the first time I stopped being a fucker, like, dude,
let's do
go
it.
on a call.
Right.
And then I didn't realize who the fuck is him. And then he was like, the first call went really well. He still didn't tell me who he actually is.
It was.
And then he said, hey, come to my hotel, in a 5-star hotel, and bring your prototype. And I was like, wait a second, like, I mean, I'm straight, like all of that, like it's shady. Why are you inviting me to a hotel? All of that, and then, but I was like, on the hindsight, like I'm a 6'5" guy. Like, what can they do to me? Like, so I stopped giving, being cautious. I just went with our prototype, with my co-founder together. And then it turns out it was a very private event that he was hosting with Lakestar Venture, one of the biggest Series A investor. And turned out that the owner of AC Roma, this really renowned Italian football club, and he was there as well. So we went there. It's a bunch of people, high-end people, like fancy people, title, like politicians, investors, and himself. And then we did a demo in front of these people, right at the hotel.
Right there.
We blow up the cartridge, and then it was like a gunshot, and security came like.
Is that a video that also was presented, went viral?
Similar, but not
different.
The same.
Okay.
Different. And then the security was scrambling. Are you guys okay? And but everyone's so shocked and impressed because this actually literally worked in that millisecond time window. And then the owner of AC Roma was really pleased. And then the guy who invited us turns out to be Amar Shah, who is the founder of this UK billion-dollar company called Wave. A lot of them say Amar is like the same position, like the UK version of Elon. And so that's the first time I know, okay, the guy that I text randomly with the dude, he's Amar. Everyone respects him, right? And then by the end of the demo, he's like, I love what you guys are building. This is a $20,000 check. So
wow.
So that's when I first got my first ever investment. And that changed everything. And as soon as VCs in London, in Europe, even a lot of them in the States heard about Amar is investing us, like 16 VCs we had called, and we landed 6 term sheets in the next couple of days, 3 days.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, it's me deciding.
That was the starting point.
Yeah, it's like, who do we take on board? Like, we don't have any dilution for all of the 6 term sheets. So we have to choose 3. Who do we choose? So it's a really weird transition. Like, Monday, I was still like struggling to get a couple of $100s. Friday, I'm getting $1 million funding term sheets.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
That's how the dynamic shifts. That's so fast. And when you stop giving a shit, and when you stop putting other people above you, when you start giving yourself the respect that you deserve, everything changed.
Awesome. Man, this is so interesting story about you. It's so inspirational, amazing. And just one thing, let's summarize it. We almost at the very end, and then we go to the rapid fire game.
Yeah.
You have a very interesting story, and at the age of 19 years old, reading your story, how did you meet the governor, the Massachusetts governor?
Yeah.
But please summarize it, because we are almost at the very end.
Governor Healy is a really great person. By the way, Governor Healy is the governor of Massachusetts, and I think she's the first elected female governor.
That's
of
correct. That's correct.
Right?
That's the main reason I asked the question.
So it was 2 years ago, my first time ever in Boston, Massachusetts. It was just like a day trip for me. And at the time, I had no team, no product, no funding, no parental support, still gapping my classes back in LSE. And I was gapping classes, like, technically not allowed, and I flew here to just explore the ecosystem, all by myself. So I saw this event listed on Eventbrite with fancy like VCs and a lot of seemingly industry leaders coming in healthcare as well. So I was like, oh, that sounds a great place for me to put myself out there and to make some impression, to get some opportunity. And so I went there, and it turns out the security was really strict, and I don't know why is that, because it's supposed to like a technology event. Why security?
Correct.
And they check tickets, they check badges, they check all of that. But that's where I was already there. Should I just head home, or like I never take no for an answer? So I observed, and I somehow found a way to sneak in. And then that was the first time I kind of used British accent like switched off a bit. Like it was not that proper because I didn't grow up in London, but I did live there for a couple of years, so I still know how the Brits talk. So I put my British accent on, and I was wearing my fancy suits and T-shirt. You can see it. They believed it. They thought I'm the reporter from the BBC, and then they gave me the table where you can sit down near the press. And the advantage of sitting in the press table gives you an opportunity to be the first one to ask a question during the Q&A session. And I did that. And so when the host was asking questions, hey, I raised my hand and I said, hey, I'm a founder from London. And I was wondering, what would you convince me to move here rather than relocating to San Francisco? I was like a weird, like competitive, relationship shared between Boston area and Silicon Valley because they're trying to fight over the #1 place for tech founders, right? So everyone laughed. They might have thought about like, oh, who's this idiot trying to challenge our Boston, right, ecosystem. Right. Everyone laughed. To be honest, I didn't expect that. And then someone in the auditorium must have tipped the governor that, hey, everyone's reacting to this kid's question. It's quite funny. Maybe you should mention that in your speech. So when the governor came, by the end of the ceremony, she actually mentioned me, quoted me in her speech. And she went something like, hey, I heard this gentleman from London, UK, trying to relocate. My answer to him is, unlike Gavin, I don't do bureaucracy here. Which is really funny. He just poked the bureaucracy and the increasing tax scheme, all of that in the state of California and San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And everyone laughed again. So now everyone in the room knows me, what my name, where I'm from, what I'm doing. And by the end of the event, I went up to the governor, and then we shook hands, and I said, hey, I'm the gentleman you mentioned in the speech. Wow. And then everyone, like the press, Boston Globe, New York Times, whatever, like they were around us taking pictures. And I think the picture that you saw was one of the pictures that they took. Right, we're highlighting right here. Right. Yeah, and then that's how I got governor's contact, I got her office's contact, and all of that, we started to bond. And funny enough, we're still in touch. And then a really great outcome is like, she actually introduced me to one of the top VC in Massachusetts, and that was the first ever proper VC call that I ever had with an investor, was through the governor of Massachusetts. Wow, that's interesting, man. I love that story. All right, so we're pretty much done with our episode, and now we are going to a rapid fire question. I hope you guys love it. This is an amazing episode, so let's bounce. Let's go for it. All right, number 1. Biggest lesson from starting a business at 16. Be yourself. Don't live for other people's expectation. Second, who is your mentor or supporter you would like to shout out? I'd say, I want to have this special tributes to my co-founder, Bobby. And I think, it's really fortunate for both of us to meet each other and to share this journey together. It's a really long and lonely journey, and I'm really grateful to have someone like that to share the journey with. Love that. All right, 3, favorite book you ever read? I'd say a really artsy book called Da Vinci. And the reason being, you actually find a lot of artists, also being a really great person and skill sets in science, lighting, chemistry, all of that. You see Da Vinci had to analyze lighting, chemical composition, arrangement, all of that to compose, the Last Supper, Mona Lisa, all of that. And it is the extreme attention to details that made his work to be rememberable by the history. And the same logic applied to a tech entrepreneur for us to build our product. Every single detail matters. And that's why when we design the product internally, we have to make sure that before we roll out anything, that this is absolutely the best that we can do. And I think I got a lot of inspiration from artists, also musicians like Mozart. I think I really enjoy reading books. Love that. All right, the last question
If funding were dried up today, what would be your backup
That wouldn't
plan?
that wouldn't happen at all. If I'm the company CEO, I would make sure that nothing like that happened tomorrow.
I love that. All right, advice for the next generation, for any upcoming stuff.
So myself, we're still really early in this startup journey, right? So I wouldn't say necessarily advice, but I would just share what I learned, and the young generation can apply that to their own case, because whoever listened to this podcast knows your situation the most, and I don't think you should take advice from anyone else who doesn't know your case. So I'll just share what I learned. What I learned from my journey was to follow your passion, also to follow what you're good at, and it should be a balance. There's no point of purely following your passion while doing things that you're not good at for decades, and there's also no point of doing what you're good at while you have no passion about it. But there should be a balance. There should be a very dedicated balance between the two. And when you found the answer of those balance, that's the time for you to shine. For me, I had this internal yearning for freedom and self-control and discipline and innovation since I was really young, because of how I was brought up. That's my internal drive. But also, I'm great at dealing with people, doing business deals, and planning for the market, seeing strategically. So following what I love about sports, hardware, technology, whereas being my own decision factors for my destiny. I think combining the both really pushed me this far. And I think for you, it should be also the case that you should also find that internal balance.
I love that. Man, thank you so much
Thank you for
being here.
Yes.
In the Stars in the Making. You were amazing. Please keep being this creator and this amazing person that you are. And I'm pretty sure that you will inspire a generation out there. All right, guys, we are on the very end of our podcast, and keep striving, keep believing in yourself. And if you have an idea, come to the Stars in the Making. We're right here waiting for you. Right. Peace out. Stars in the Making. Thank you again, bro.
That's it.